Video is provided to the Westfield Leader, Union County local source, advertised on January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the municipal public bulletin board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public with time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231 PL 1975. Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor.
Mr. Goriello is absent this evening. He must be on vacation again.
Again.
Mr. Renata, our attorney.
I don't think I have anything I need to report on, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Arian, anything this evening?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any unfinished business for the council? Any new business? I have a couple of things here. I will meet with Steve Greek, the Garwood Planning Board Chairman, this week to discuss my findings on various zoning applications, many of which were obtained from the local communities, and then will be proceeded to the membership of the Planning Board for review. I am pleased to announce this spring-summer edition of the Garwood Gazette has been submitted to the printer and shall be mailed out to all residents in the next week or so. It also will be published on the garwood.org website. This Mayor's Saturday will be held on Saturday, May 21st at 11 a.m. in Council Chambers. Council President Luke Petrozelli has been invited to join the Mayor to meet with residents as they wish to come and speak with us. We are extremely happy to announce another fine establishment in Garwood. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony for Studio 111 New Fitness Center located on Center Street. The ribbon cutting will take place at noon, Saturday, May 21st. Please mark your calendars. That's all I have this evening. Comments or matters for discussion from members of council. Councilwoman Cougar.
Yes, Mayor, I do have a few things, if you don't
Okay.
mind. I put forward at the last meeting that I think the application for variances should be a simplified form for residential bulk variances specific for 1 and 2 family homes. An example is the current form for non-conforming use variances. Obviously, variances should only be required if a homeowner cannot comply with the current zoning. What I bring before you again is the process itself should be streamlined. I reached out to Adele Lewis, and we all know how knowledgeable she is in this capacity. She did the revised non-conforming use variance application, as there were so many coming before the board. She also heard and saw firsthand the frustration by Garwood residents that the initial process to just try and get their application heard. I myself have seen people so upset that they were brought to tears. This is not the way it should be working for the taxpayers of Garwood. Adele said this could be done very simply, very cheaply, and relatively quickly, but that she would need assistance from Victor Vinegler. My question to him would be, how much would it cost to get this done, and how long would it take? Based on the cost factor, if it is too much to fit in the budget, can it be subcontracted out? The current application is too much for laymen to understand. It also was meant for big projects, new construction, subdivisions, and such. These small items, driveways, decks, fences, and the like, should not be subjected to this type of mental anguish, especially when it is not applicable. How can the process be started? Okay. I also had a few phone calls the past few weeks concerning a request for speed bumps on east from Beach down to south. They said it was insanity to speeding. One of the residents made this request last year. I explained to them that it was not the chief's choice of speed deterrent, as I have brought the subject up countless times. So can the speed monitoring sign be placed at this location as well? How many of these signs do we have? Can more officers be placed at more locations? This is and has been an ongoing issue. It would be nice if the requests of the residents were addressed more to their liking. I also had a call from a resident stating the underpass was in need of sprucing up. When was the last time it was done? Also, I remembered that the upkeep was done more frequently. Can someone address this issue? Lastly, I am not in agreement with the change of limiting contacting the zoning officer, Victor Vinegler. I said something a few weeks ago when his number was removed from the borough website and his request that only be contacted via email with the new form. I do not think this is good policy nor good practice, and it's just another form for the taxpayers to fill out in an already bloated application process. He works and is compensated by the taxpayers of Garwood and should be readily available to answer their questions. I would like this new request made by the engineer himself to be rolled back. How many of us have the luxury of dictating to our employer what we want without a care of what the needs of our constituents should be? What is the procedure to revert back to the previous means of contact? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Martin? Councilman Matthew?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to let everyone know, and also pass along to you, Mayor, and to the council, that Garwood resident of 62 years, Michael Ulaki, would receive some medals from the Korean War that he did not get when he was discharged from the military. Congressman Lance was able to actually get those medals for him, and it was on NJ.com on the 26th. I spoke to Mrs. Ulaki, and we think it would be nice if we could do some type of recognition for them. But her words to me was he was in a hurry to get home when he got discharged, which is understandable, and did not get his medals. And here we are, 6 decades later, and Congressman Lance got them for him. So they've been residents of Garwood, like I said, for 62 years. He received the National Defense Medal, the Korean Service Medal with 3 bronze stars, and the United Service Medal. So it's very impressive, and I think it's a long overdue recognition for this patriot. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sarno?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The only report I have is it was brought to our attention to look at the recycling contract. I did a little looking into it, and this year's contract was $69,300 just for this calendar year. If we were to renew it, it would be the current index for the preceding 12 months. The new contract can't exceed it by that much. I believe is how the contract writes it. And that current index rate is only 50 bips, 0.5%. So my thing is, we really should strongly look into renewing that 1-year lease. If we're doing $69,300, and if I'm correct in saying that it's 0.5%, the new total would only go up $346.50. So it would bring it to a grand total of $69,646.50. So with the aluminum market really, and all commodities really going down in the downward trend in a really erratic state, I think we should probably lock in at least for a 1-year option. That's just my recommendation. And I would just like to bring that forth for everyone else to research into, and see if we can go forth on that. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Councilwoman Kuzminska?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple items, and I just wanted to also follow up with a couple items Councilwoman Kugro put forth. So as far as that variance application and simplifying it, definitely in terms of, what do you call it? Like theoretically, I absolutely would support simplifying it. My concern at this moment would be the financial side, and how much it costs, I think, is a definite question that we need to find the answer to, which I'm glad you brought that up. But just to point out, that planning board budget is very, very tight this year. So if it would not be something possible this year, then that would be something that I would be open to supporting in next year's budget. And also, I know you said if we can't fit it in this year's budget, is there a way we could subcontract it out? But really, it doesn't matter if it's done in-house per se by our professional on this or by another firm. We'd still have to pay and it still wouldn't fit in the budget. So we just have to be careful. But I do think it's worth at least investigating, and it sounds like the mayor is doing that, bringing it before the planning board chairman and
To be honest, I did speak to him last night, and he's going to review in detail what I gave him, so we can go forward to the full planning board.
That would be perfect. I mean, at least if we had a cost estimate, we could see
Yeah.
how big or how large. I'm hoping small. It shouldn't be that much to do subdivision like that.
And-
hope not. The lower the better, always.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So,
Because I don't like to
absolutely.
spend the money, so.
I agree with you completely.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. And just the 2 items I wanted to bring to the council's attention tonight. So at the last meeting of the freeholder board, myself, Councilman Petrozelli, and the mayor attended. As you can see, we have a check in front of the dais tonight for $65,000, which had been announced previously as our award from Union County for the infrastructure grant, which is now in its 2nd year as a grant presented to the municipalities to take advantage of. And one thing I noticed that the freeholder board did this year compared to last year was they kept the dollar amounts given to the towns in a narrower range. So there was no grant award less than $50,000, which means a lot, especially in our small community, Winfield Park, Roselle Park, which I believe they were awarded $65,000 or more. But point being was small towns received a bigger portion of that $1.5 million pie compared to last year, where some towns saw, like we did, $30,000. So I'm happy to see that moving in the upward direction. I concur with the resident that matching grants are unfortunate in the sense that they also require a municipal match. However, Center Street does need paving, and to get some county dollars for that and municipal dollars to improve our main road, is important. So that happened. Also, I was appointed by the county to be on the Union County Commission on the Status of Women. So I'm looking forward to joining that committee, which they told me meeting once a month. So I hope that's true, actually, with my schedule. However, I think it's an important group that works to promote women in Union County in business, in government, in the communities that they serve. And finally, Mayor, I'm surprised you didn't mention it, but as you can see here, we do have the new Hartman Park sign that will be put up shortly. The historical committee will reach out to the Hartman family, who has so graciously donated money to cover the cost of this sign, so that it will be up at the park, and we'll talk to them about timing in terms of putting up the sign. I know they definitely want it sooner than later, and have been a little resistant to say having a big event or anything big to do for it, but if there was to be some special date to unveil it, we would like to establish a timeline with them. But as you can see, it's a very nice sign. It was designed to be similar to the Guerrero sign down at the recreation complex. I want to thank Councilman Matthew for passing that along to me as the historical committee liaison. I want to thank the historical committee and the mayor for their work ensuring that this sign got done in a timely manner, in a manner that was less expensive. We went through Union County, and the sign actually came in under $100, so not bad. And then I think that's it. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your help.
Council President Petroselli.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a couple things. We did have a Streets and Roads meeting, and in that Streets and Roads meeting, we did discuss to look at a new garbage truck, or at least, to open up the conversation about it. And we also did discuss the ordinance that was looked at to not have the cars removed for the 3-inch snowfall. Basically, with the 3-inch snowfall, it was a letter that was drafted the very next day by the chief that was addressed to the committee, and I did ask the chief to be at the meeting too, so this way, we can have a safety aspect of it. And the chief said basically that we have a 95% compliance with that ordinance. So in his point of view, we don't ever get 95% compliance with just about anything. So this was something that, in his point of view, from that standpoint, as far as 95%, it would not be something that we would want to repeal. Also, from the safety standpoint, the DPW superintendent also brought up aspects of, if you did leave the cars on the street, the cars would get plowed in. People would then be throwing the snow back into the street, which would also cause overtime for DPW to come back out and get that cleared. If that wasn't cleared in a timely manner, then you would have ice on the road, which then would also create a safety aspect for any kind of emergency vehicles, to come down. And it would just culminate a whole bunch of problems. And we all kind of felt that was going in a backwards direction. So we all agreed that, that it should just stay as is. But it was, refreshing to hear the reasons why this was set up. And I believe it was set up in '96. So it's something that has been around for a long time, and it actually works. And also too, just to open up, the discussion with the new garbage truck, if we're going to be bonding for that, it did come out of committee 2-1 that that's something that we should be getting, because we are in the garbage business right now. There were some other ideas, that were brought out about maybe not getting a garbage truck, maybe going to the 5-year plan that, that the superintendent had come before finance, but maybe getting a dump truck instead. But, as of right now, we are in the garbage business. So at some point, I'd like to have the superintendent come in and, have a discussion about that. And, as a council, we can make a decision on that. And as far as the underpass being dirty, I know that was something that you just mentioned, and that's always in the report. They're always out there. They're always taking care of that. And even when people do call me, or if they do call down at the DPW yard, that's something that they definitely take care of. So It's just difficult because on windy days, you'll get stuff that'll just blow in there, it'll stay there for a while up until, you know, someone can get to it. But, you know, it is addressed, and it is something that, you know, they do take serious, you know, to try to get that cleaned up.
Just to add, if I may, Mayor,
Yes.
I noticed with your Streets and Roads reports that particularly the graffiti is something that they.
That's pretty much what he was talking about.
What he was
I don't
referring
think-
to.
Yeah, I mean,
So they do use graffiti remover on it, which is important, you know, we definitely don't want that look in the middle of our town, so. I hope the DPW keeps up the good work on that.
Anything else?
No, no, that was-
And first of all, thank you and your committee for reviewing that ordinance on the snow removal. I think personally, I think it's the right decision, but just leave it at that. All right, we have a public comment section. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address, please limit your comments at 3 minutes.
Good evening, council. How are you? Bill Nearstead, 320 Hickory Avenue. 2 items. One, just to let you know, I had mentioned, might have been at the last council meeting, that we're going to try to have an Arbor Day ceremony. We did end up having 2, one over at Lincoln School and one over at Washington School of Hawaii. It was actually the week after Arbor Day, but we couldn't do it, Arbor Day itself. We did plant 2 trees, and it was very interesting with the preschoolers, 3-year-olds. Some of the answers were pretty good to questions. But anyway, based upon that Arbor Day ceremony, based upon the mayor's proclamation, based upon the amount of money that we're spending this year on trees, we actually do have the ability to submit a Tree City application. We can solve one issue. And if with council consent, I'd like to discuss that with the mayor, maybe Streets and Roads, just to see if we can overcome the one hurdle. Tree City is something, actually, when my wife and I were out in, trying to think what town we were, and we're out by the Grand Canyon, we were very surprised to come down the street and see a huge Tree City sign. So it is something that's national, and if we can get back getting it, we used to get it, we got it for 3 or 4 years in a row, and if we can get it back, I'd like to pursue that. So Mayor, if I can discuss that with you.
Yeah, if you have some time, come to Mayor Saturday.
If I have some time, I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
And have some time is what I question if I'm going to say the right thing now or not. Councilman, just to let you know, the forms, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I wrote those original forms over 20 years ago. Unfortunately, they have literally, I mean literally, doubled in size. I don't know why they've doubled in size. I know the way they were set up was that each application, if you need relief from zoning requirements, you need use variance, you need a site plan, you need a certificate of nonconformity, each sheet, each application had its own sheet. So each application really should be 4 or 5 pages. I know from being on the board, we don't get a sheet, an application less than over 20 pages. But I'm hesitant to offer my time because I'd like to talk to Victor and Adele. But those forms can be reduced.
As I mentioned before, we're going to go through the chairman.
No, and I understand
That's
that.
the proper
I understand that,
protocol.
and that's the proper protocol. But what I want to say is that I know there doesn't have to be a big cost to that.
just looking at my head wrapped around that you agree with me.
I've agreed with you more times than you may
That's
remember,
great.
Councilman. I've agreed at least 4 or 5 times since you've been sitting up there.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. So we can advance that also.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, motion to adjourn,
So moved?
all in favor?
Aye.
And we'll just continue on to the regular meeting. Please rise for a moment of silence, salute to the flag.
Congratulations to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Direct notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Reader and Union County local source, advertised on January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board. and following the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public of the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Mayor Lombardo?
Here.
Councilman Kukrow?
Here.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Matthew?
Here.
Councilman Sarno?
Here.
Councilman Tedesco?
Here.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Here.
Minutes, please.
Regular workshop minutes of the Mayor and Council held on April 26, 2016.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Communications.
New Jersey State League of Municipalities Mayor's Advisory
Receive and file.
and Royal Valley Sewer Authority minutes.
Receive and file. Ordinances. Public hearing on ordinance 16-08 as advertised on April 28, 2016. Ms. Ariano, please read ordinance 1608 by title only.
Bond ordinance to amend sections 4, 9, 10, 11, and 14 of the bond ordinance, ordinance 1515, entitled bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in, by, and for the borough of Garwood in the county of Union, state of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $395,000 to pay the cost thereof, to appropriate various grants, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of said bonds, such bonds adopted on August 11, 2015.
Have you received any correspondence?
None, Mayor.
Was anyone present wish to be heard on concerning ordinance 1608? Yes, Mr. Patterson?
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Bruce Patterson, 325 O Avenue. I think some previously, Councilwoman Tedesco did mention about somebody always talking about matching grants, and again, the $395,000 that you're borrowing is that additional $65,000 for the matching grant from the county. I'm down at the county, and I keep telling them, that's a separate ordinance?
That ordinance is being introduced tonight. You're adopting that ordinance in your hand. We're introducing another ordinance tonight that contains the $65,000.
That's the $445,000?
Yes. Right.
Okay, so this is just normal. This is the normal for doing
This is
the road.
amending 1515 that we adopted last year, which was the DOT road project and the sidewalk project. Put more money in it so we can do the sidewalks.
Oh, okay.
DOT part's done, and it came in on budget, but it's the sidewalks that we went out to bid 4 times,
Yes.
and the council elected to put more money in instead of bidding it again.
Yeah, that was like $15,000 more or something had to put in?
Actually, a little more than that. I don't remember off the top of my head, maybe somebody else does, but.
All right, no.
a little
Well,
more.
okay, I mean, I was talking about matching grants, and so I really have no comment. I appreciate, you know.
This wasn't
taking care of
matching
the
grant,
infrastructure.
1515 was last year's Union County infrastructure grant.
Oh, you just wanted to get me going again, is that what you're saying?
No comment.
You know how I feel about it, I agree with you.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no one else, may I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 1608?
So moved, Mayor?
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 16-08?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 16-08, Mayor.
Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Ms. Ariano, please read 16-09 by title only.
Yes, Mayor. Bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in, by, and for the borough of Garwood, the county of Union, state of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $445,000 to pay the cost thereof, and to appropriate various grants and make the down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 16-09?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to council standing committee reports and other reports. Police, Councilman Sarno.
Thank you, Mayor. The police committee met on Monday, May 2nd, at the same time, in the same place as the Streets and Roads Committee, as was previously mentioned. And two things were discussed, the removal of cars from streets, as you heard before, in the event of a snowstorm 3 inches or more, as per the request of the mayor. And we also discussed establishing the appropriate authority, as it was recommended by the borough attorney, to review the issue and make a change to who the appropriate authority should be in Garwood. In regards to changing local ordinance 21-6, or what I'll call the 3-inch rule, the police committee, which was also there, I mean, really with the chief and really the same people, unanimously decided to keep it as law, as the committee felt that this was one of the benefits of the borough, and according to the chief of police, was within 95% compliance during our major snowstorm earlier this year. This was all previously mentioned by Lou. This ordinance allows our DPW to plow from curb to curb, and also mandates that the vehicles be removed from the roadway to allow for snow plowing. These measures allow for Garwood's roads to be cleared much better than our neighbors and keep us being the gold standard when it comes to plowing snow. Kind of piggybacking what you said earlier. In reference to item 2, the police committee recommended that we establish the appropriate authority as the mayor, as opposed to being the mayor and council, which currently is in Garwood. The background behind the appropriate authority in New Jersey, according to the New Jersey Association of Chiefs of Police, began when political interference in an absence of clearly defined lines of authority in the law enforcement function led the state legislature to enact a law delineating the power and authority of officials regarding the management of municipal police department. This law was enacted in 1981 and defines the authority of the municipality to establish a police department and appoint members thereof. The statute describes the manner in which civilian oversight is established through a locally appointed appropriate authority. Garwood is one of only 3 towns in Union County that currently have the mayor and council as the appropriate authority, and it made sense to the committee to have these duties turned to the mayor, as it is more efficient and workable than the previous arrangement. We asked the mayor and council to establish the appropriate authority as the mayor, and if you have any questions, please send them to me. That's all for my report.
Thank you for the authority.
You're welcome.
Any comments on the police report?
It was voted on unanimously.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Ms. Arias.
So would you then direct the attorney to prepare that ordinance?
Yes, I'm directing the attorney to do that. Thank you for confirming.
That's the one you gave me at the end of last year.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay. Public hearing, Councilwoman Sarno, I'm sorry, Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. There's no report. The next meeting is June 15th.
Thank you. Streets and Roads Ecology, Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Department of Public Works completed the following from April 27th till May 10th. Reoccurring activities: perform residential household waste pickup twice weekly on the north and south sides of the borough, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Disposed of all materials at the Covanta incinerator in Broadway. Perform weekly residential brush and grass pickup every Wednesday. Fueled all vehicles and equipment at the Union County Public Works Complex in Scotch Plains as needed throughout the week. Provided residential white good appliance pickup at various times weekly throughout the borough. Checked and treated reoccurring problems in sewer lines for routes on a weekly basis. Also perform maintenance on miscellaneous public works vehicles and equipment as needed. Remove miscellaneous roadside debris along North and South Avenue. Cleaned up litter and debris throughout the sports and recreation complex. Emptied and recycling receptacles at the sports and recreation complex and placed in a central location for weekly pickup. Other miscellaneous activities: picked up litter and debris blown by the leaves on both sides of the underpass and sidewalks on Center Street and Kennedy Plaza. Mowed, trim, and maintained all municipal-owned properties and parks on a weekly basis. Cut up and removed broken branches in various locations of the borough. Removed the dead shade tree at 54 3rd Avenue. Performed street sweeping operations in various areas on the south side of the borough. Continued to install residential permit parking signs throughout the south side of the borough. Replaced all existing sign poles prior to installing signs to conform with the 7-foot minimum height requirement. Weather permitting, all signs will be completed by next week. Blew off and cleaned the municipal parking lot on Center Street. Put up Arbor Rock banners along Center Street. Repair the broken playground equipment at the Sports and Recreation Complex. That was just one of the yellow bars had actually pulled out. It was one of the, it wasn't a screw, it was, got the word I'm looking for. It was a rivet. One of the rivet actually had broken out, so they actually fixed it. Began to weed all the mulch beds at the Sports and Recreation Complex. Removed all debris from the roadside pots within the right-of-ways and began to plant the spring flowers. cleaned up all debris from inside and around the bus stop enclosures along North and South Avenues. And also on a shared service note, we continue to use Fanwood's portable compressor for the installation of the street signs. That's all from my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comments? Proposed report? Fire, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. The report states there was 13 incidents, 2 for fire, mulch, barbecue, 2 CO alarms, 1 odor of oil, 1 power outage, 1 wind damage, and 6 mutual aid, all in Elizabeth for 43 hours. Total man hours was 93, all alarms. Meeting, 20 men, 33 hours. Drills, 16 men, 32 hours. Forced entry, video presentation, hands-on door lock removals. General cleanup, 19 men, 95 hours. Post-test, refurbished maintenance, building and grounds maintenance. Public service, fishing derby, 3 men, 45 hours. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the fire report? Hearing none. Finance, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor. We'll be meeting in the next week or two.
Thank you. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Laws and License, Councilman Martin.
No report.
Thank you. Recreation, Councilman Martin. Thank you. Garwood Senior Citizens Liaison, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make up for everybody with no reports. I think that's what's going to happen. Anyway, just to point out, May is Older Americans Month. So this was established in 1963. So everybody out there, if you know any older Americans, reach out, help, talk to them, whatever you have to do. Okay, also, there was a very busy senior meeting this past week. There is a reminder about the senior picnic on June 23rd, 11 to 3. Don't forget your lawn chairs. RSVP to Paulette by June 15th, 789-0710, extension 3027. Thanks very much to Tina for getting the tents ordered for this special event. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Lauren Bernstein, a registered dietitian and certified diabetic educator, gave a very thorough presentation about diabetes. She had great material to show the actual levels of sugar in food and processed food products. As she displayed the items to be careful with, an audible gasp rippled through the room. I sat there thinking to myself that I have really to watch my sugar intake, all the while I was shoveling a sticky bun loaded with icing in my mouth. Good thing she informed us after we ate lunch, otherwise the sticky buns may have gone to waste. Well, except mine, of course. The Garden State Arts Foundation has free tickets for some upcoming events in May and June. Little Anthony and the Imperials and 2 doo-wop shows. Anyone interested can contact Paulette. The tickets are free. A big thank you and shout out to Todd Hers for spending some time with our group. He gave out extremely important literature about financial scams targeting seniors. A very sorry state of affairs targeting the people that should be helped, not intentionally hurt. Carol Lombardo was there also, spoke about the historical committee, still looking for Garwood memorabilia, and also inviting and reminding everyone about the rededication of the field. She was also double checking and inviting people to see if they wanted to bring food, whether it was being purchased or made, was not being duplicated. Mainly, she wanted to speak to me to confirm whether I was really making 300 deviled eggs that Bruce so kindly told her I would be making. No, thank you, I'm not making 300 deviled eggs. Nobody would be able to come near my house. But I am going to be baking cookies. So, if anybody wants to contribute to this dedication, please contact Carol or Bruce. I am happy to see everyone pitching in to help, save cost to taxpayers when most people are more than willing to help when asked. Carol also mentioned the historical committee is going to have a small ceremony. I defer to Councilwoman Tedesco, she already brought that up. And I also want to thank Tony Sosnowski, who invited me to view the Senior Citizen Community Center. She is the president of the Kenilworth chapter. I spent 2 hours there on Friday to see what they had to offer to the seniors in their town. And I have to say, I was very impressed and quite sad at the same time for our Garwood seniors. The Kenilworth building had 2 floors, neat, pristine, tons of activities, including hot lunches for under $2, provided by the Meals on Wheels with advance notice. 3 days a week. It was truly delightful with a huge steam table and large kitchen. This place used to be the old municipal building. What a tribute to the backbone of all of our communities to be so well taken care of with their own building. I wish there was more that we can do to add more services for the seniors in Garwood. We spoke about the possibility of some combined services with both the senior clubs and much more. I actually saw a few Garwood people having lunch there. A very nice experience and extremely well organized and maintained. Also, there's going to be, where is that? A kiosk. The kiosks are coming to different locations in Union County, and I do have a form here somewhere amongst all the papers, but I can give this to Tina. They're gonna be in Linden, Westfield, and Mountainside. So they will be helping anybody that needs it, seniors and stuff like that, and I'll give everything to Tina. She can post that online. Tina, you could do that?
Sure.
Okay, great. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments? Hearing none. Library's mayor representative, council president Petroselli.
Thank you, Mayor. Forward, library was a very busy place in April. We had about 1,348 persons visiting the library. That's approximately 419 visitors more than last year at this time. Our online event calendar, which usually gets about 300 hits a month, had over 2,000 hits in April. Many of our programs are drawing a crowd. 42 people attended the Mother's Day Craft and Story Time on May 4th, and on Thursday, May 5th, 18 children created a Mother's Day craft after school. Tonight, Josh will be making decorative potted plants with 10 adult crafters. The after-school Lego Club continues to have a waiting list for its 2 monthly meetings. The Children's Chess Club is also surprisingly popular. The program was limited to 8 participants for better instruction, but more than 8 children showed up. We managed to accommodate all of them. Most were experienced chess players, and only had looked at his phone during the program for only just one moment during the program. And as always, the library has many other ongoing programs, including the Knitting Club Mondays and Thursdays at 10:30 a.m., book clubs first Thursday and third Monday, Adult Ed Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon, ESL Tuesdays at 2 p.m., Toddler Story Time Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m., Chess Club Wednesdays at 3:30 and 7 p.m., Friday morning movies Fridays at 10 a.m., Lego Club 2 Thursdays a month at 3 p.m., and the Gar Library is open Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., closes on Friday 9 a.m. to 4:30, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Closed Saturdays in July and August. The library will be closed May 30th in honor of Memorial Day. That's all for my report.
Thank you. Any comments on the library report?
Mayor, I do actually. Just wanted to thank the library for their efforts that they continue to put forth for the community, including the children. I know the school board has discussed adding more clubs at Lincoln School, but to hear that the library is also taking initiative by themselves to have the chess club and the Lego club, I think it's a really nice thing for the kids to be able to participate in. So just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. School board liaison, Councilman Sarno.
Thanks, Mayor. On Tuesday, May 3rd, the school board held a special meeting regarding the 2016-2017 school budget. School board administrator Eric Larson went through and discussed the $8.975 million budget in detail by use of a PowerPoint presentation. The presentation was well done and outlined the following costs. How the general fund expenses will be $8.327 million, of which $7.5 will be raised by taxes. How $518,000 will be budgeted for debt servicing and raised by tax levy. If you assume $100,000 in home assessment, the school tax levy would be $4,272. That's an increase of $51 from last year. The 2015-2016 net cost per pupil is $13,211, which is $2,259 less than the state average. There are many other items displayed and can be found on the school board website. The school board budgets passed unanimously after the presentation and after all questions from the public were answered. If you have any questions, please send your concerns to me. That's all for my report.
Thank you. Any comments on the school board report? Hearing none, celebration of public events and holidays liaison, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next meeting will be next week on May 18th. The annual Memorial Day event will take place on Memorial Day itself at noon at the Columbian Club here in town. Mayor Lombardo has arranged for the guest speaker this year, which we look forward to hearing from during the program that day. Please mark your calendars. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the celebrations?
Who's going to be the guest speaker?
It's a surprise.
Oh, boy, okay.
He's a retired sergeant with the Army.
Okay.
A young retired.
How young?
Mid-40s.
Oh, we need the old ones. Where's the old ones?
Sounds like
Certainly is a relative definition of young.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board of Representatives, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Administrative Review Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor.
Historical Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The Historical Committee met this past Saturday and spent 3 hours cleaning the plaques that were previously up at the site of the recreation complex. And most members are actually in attendance here tonight. We have Pat Fabio, Bruce Patterson, myself as liaison, I guess, and then also the mayor did stop by to help us, and I do thank the mayor for his time on Saturday, helping us scrub those plaques clean. In addition to putting up the previous plaques, there will be 2 new plaques put up at the Garwood Sports and Recreation Complex. One is the plaque for Michael Concoli, former mayor, who the main building over there will be named for, and then also the Garwood Lions Club has donated and has put on order a new plaque to honor the members from 1973 when the Lions Club built the gazebo that was previously at that site. So it honors the almost 30 members that were in that organization at that time in 1973. So we look forward to unveiling both the previous plaques as well as the new ones on June 12th, and it will be from 2 to 5 p.m. By now, pretty much everybody should have this memorized, I think. Additionally, as I said earlier, the committee will follow up with the Hartman family about the new sign before you tonight that will be hung up at the park. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the report? Hearing none, we have no officer report this evening. Public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I guess I'll go first.
You might be the first and only.
I don't think so. Good evening. Rich McCormick, 101 4th Avenue. I think I have several questions. Hopefully I can remember them all. The first question is the $65,000 check we have here. I'd like to ask or question Mr. Savra, why are we depending on this type of money, a grant, to pave a certain street in Garwood? Why don't we have dollars from our taxes to pay for the street?
Would you like me to answer that, or sure, Mayor? Well, that's just one way that we're funding some infrastructure projects here in town. Traditionally, we do rely on municipal taxes as well as state DOT grants, which have been quite generous. As I've sat up on the council, I've noticed in around the percentage of 70% of the road work we do is paid for by state DOT grants. But in terms of relying on, before last year, which was the first year of the Union County Infrastructure Grant, to my knowledge, I mean, it could be going back years, but we don't necessarily get county money for infrastructure projects. It's a new program that the county has been running the past 2 years, so I hope that addresses the question.
So part of my question or rebuttal to that question is, without this money, we couldn't do that repaving that we're talking about right now?
I wouldn't say we couldn't. It's just a matter of council making a decision as to which streets get paved. So for instance, other streets, one example being 3rd Avenue, has been part of our DOT project, which we do annually. As a council, we've voted unanimously for that time after time to make sure that streets, as per the recommendation of our engineer, which ones are in greater need than others, of course, because you can't pave every street every year. We take a look at that. So Center Street, I would say, would certainly get paved at some point, with or without this money, because it is a street that's been recognized as in need. But it's just a matter of when and where the money's coming from that particular year. But ever since I've sat on the council, now I think in 5-6 years, we've always done road projects, usually paid for mostly by the state and then municipal tax dollars as well.
And this is from what point of Center Street?
I don't believe that's been completely worked out yet, but it's approximately 4 blocks of Center Street.
Is it close to right here where we're standing? Okay, so that.
It was never, I wasn't
I'm
said
going forward
publicly,
with this
but
question, so it has nothing to do with the construction in the future event of when we build across the street and it gets a little beat up, or, okay. So it's, my questions are not to beat up anybody in particular. The next question I have is, Lou, you emphasized that for now, that was the word I heard 3 times. For now, we're in the garbage business, and we're being asked to buy a new garbage truck.
So does that mean in the future, we're not being in the garbage business?
Well, that just means for now, we're in the garbage business. I mean, I know that some.
Just sounds a little out of proportion why you would bring that up, like for now.
There was a person who brought up in the public and, you know, they wanted to see if there was a study that we could do about maybe going forward through, you know, to not hire, you know, any more employees maybe through, nutrition, and maybe not have that be part of your taxes, or not have it be part of your taxes, but not have as many employees in the future. So I guess maybe that's the reason why it was set that way, that, you know, for right now, we're in the garbage business and we have 3 trucks. One's a 96, one's a 2002, one's a 2011. And the 2002 is at the shop right now, and we're putting more money into it, and the 96 is, you know, in the same condition as that, you know, where we keep putting more money into these trucks. So it's something that, even if we weren't in the garbage business in the future, it's something that I think needs to be replaced now.
Okay, thank you. Next question probably goes back to you again, Lou. As far as the athletic field, you made some comments that the DPW is doing a lot of work there. They're picking up the garbage, they're doing the mulch, they're cleaning this, they're cleaning that. I've asked a couple of meetings in a row now, and particularly I asked you, are we making money, or are we staying stable to pay the bills over there? Your answer was yes. So with that said, as a taxpayer, I think it would be great if the DPW just went in, emptied the garbage cans, which they should be doing, and that I don't know, that area there, the athletic field, maybe they, if we're making that money, they should have somebody to maintain that area, not our DPW, and free them up, which is taking so long to put 7-foot signs up around town. I mean, maybe they could be doing stuff like that instead of maintaining an athletic field that is doing so well as I'm being told.
Well, I mean, I know that the signs are taking a long time, but it's not every year that we decide to, you know, extend that parking ordinance and have to put up over 200 signs. So yes, I mean, the signs are taking a lot of time, and there was a lot of time spent down at the athletic field as well, but you know, we picked up garbage and had to do recycling and had to cut grass and clean up down there, you know, before it was the athletic field, you know, when it was just a smaller complex. So, you know, as far as it making money, yes, it does pretty much cover itself from the rental, you know, that they do get, which offsets the costs down there. But, you know, the DPW has always been down there, and they've always done a great job with it, so.
Look, I'm not blaming everything on the sign, so let's get that straight. I'm not blaming everything on the street sign, I'm just thinking maybe we can put some effort somewhere else. That's where I'm kind of going with that.
Well,
So, for example, is, not to cut you off, but hear me out. Mother's Day last weekend, all Garwood baseball is canceled because of rain, but fortunately enough, my daughter lives across the street. We didn't have games for my grandsons, but the soccer field was full from the morning to the night. So obviously, I'm hoping we're making money, so shouldn't that be paid for? Shouldn't they be paying for all the stuff that needs to be going on, the planting of bushes, the mulch? That's what I'm kind of asking. I'm not faulting anything, I'm asking the questions.
So your question is, the money that we make from it?
Yeah, take the DPW out of it. Why should the borough be paying for that when we are making monies to fulfill that obligation? That's my question.
You know, that can be looked at, you know. I mean, are you saying to maybe hire like a subcontractor? to
More or
look
less,
at
that's
that
kind of where I'm
question?
going with that question.
I think we have to be careful with union laws too.
Yeah.
It is borough property, so are you taking?
I'm just questioning out, so.
No, but I'm understanding what you're saying, but I just don't know with the Teamsters what the responsibilities are of the DPW. If you take that out, is that okay?
Okay, so you've answered part of my questions. And then the last thing I have is trees. Mr. Nierstedt stood up, I didn't get the whole thing, but he's been on the, I guess, that tree thing forever. When are we planting trees in the town? I've been asking for a while. When are we starting to plant? Then at the same time, what are the trees that we're planting? Are we gonna be planting something that needs to be cut down again, or are we planting something that's beautiful? I want some trees by my house. I've been asking month after month for trees. I don't see anything yet.
Tina's,
The tree planting is also part of this sidewalk project. It's all encompassed in one project. And there's a list of people that either had a tree removed in conjunction with the sidewalk needing to be repaired, or it's just a tree removed. So I have a planting list, but I have to break it into two because I have to plant the sidewalk people after we finish the sidewalks, because I can't have them disrupt that work. So I'm gonna be planting soon, but if you let me know that you wanted trees, then you're on my list. I'm gonna add you to it anyway.
Yeah.
But I think you're on it already anyway. And if I don't have any sidewalk work at your house, then I will be planting a tree soon.
Thank you. All right, everybody, thanks for your time. And thanks for you guys for putting up with me. Thanks.
Mayor, I just wanted to add a point there. I take issue with the fact that the athletic field is self-sustaining. It depends on how you count. Certain costs that are being expended there are definitely being covered by operations. But Mr. McCormick's point, not one single dollar of the $1.6 million that the borough took on in debt to pay for the field is being covered by anything, not $1. Nor is it a goal. Actually, we don't even have it broken out in the budget. So it's kind of semantics to say, well, it's self-sustaining. Well, depending on what costs you talk about, $1.6 million in debt service over 15 years is not being covered at all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on. Unfinished business, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Can we take off 16-196?
I didn't hear what you said.
16-196?
Yeah.
Very clear.
Delete that from the consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the modified consent agenda at this point?
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Ariano?
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin. Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to pass ordinance 16-196?
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 16-196.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I just want to note that I'm going to abstain from that because it's naming a bank as a depository. So to prevent a conflict with my employer, I'll be abstaining from that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Ariano?
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Matthews.
Abstain.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Okay, moving on, new business proclamation, Peace Officers Day, Police Officers Week, May 15th to the 21st, 2016. Payment of claims. Second.
Be resolved that the following claims as approved being the same are hereby ordered paid when properly signed and verified, and the payment of payrolls as approved is hereby confirmed and ratified.
Do I have a motion to adopt payment of claims?
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin. Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Mayor.
Yes.
Before we adjourn, do you have anything? I just have one.
Go right ahead.
I can?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to address Mr. McCormick's questions from public comment. I thought they were all very valid, great questions. I just wanted to address the question of Councilman Petrozelli's Streets and Roads report. Just to point out that as chairs of a committee, you have to give a report that's reflective of that committee and not necessarily all your own views. So I think when the councilman said, you know, for right now we're in the garbage business, does lead to the fact that there's been conversation on this dais, both brought from people on the dais and from one member of the audience to investigate privatized garbage. So that is going to be, it seems, I'm not on that committee, but it does seem like that will be up for discussion at some point. And I've always said that I'm quite wary of privatizing garbage. Even if kept in the tax bill, does that make it one day very susceptible to going outside the tax bill? That's one question I have. The other question I have is always the staffing levels of the DPW. How much staffing could we really reduce and still make sense as a department? Because what I would definitely not like to see is privatization to the point where you no longer have in-house snow plowing, you have no longer in-house other borough maintenance that the DPW does and takes such pride in, and does a great job with. So just because the councilman had to make that report because it's reflective of maybe the sentiment of one member on that committee, or I know Councilman Matthews said that he does believe that that should be investigated, and we don't always make reports that are our own personal opinion, but they are supposed to be reflective of the entire committee. So I hope that just clarifies, because I think this is going to be a very big issue on the horizon for the Garwood Council to take a look at. So, thank you, Mayor, for the minute.
Thank you. The regular meeting of the mayor and council will be held on Tuesday, May 24, 2016, in council chambers at 7:15. Workshop to start at 7 p.m. There will be a public hearing in council chambers on ordinance 1609 on Tuesday, May 24, 2016, at 7:15 p.m. or soon thereafter. On Wednesday, May 11, 2016, at 7 p.m., the mayor and council will host Student and Government Night. The public is encouraged to attend this fun evening with the students take over the roles of the governing body. No action will be taken. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move, Mayor.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm waiting for somebody to say something.
This is, I think we have to wait till 8 o'clock. I mean,